Oh, this is interesting. I told you I was carrying the H1 salt yesterday. I stuck it in my mug full of snow last night. Let's see if we can get it out. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm not seeing any rust. I didn't think it'd rust, but it's a good test. I love this knife. You just don't have to worry about it at all. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So what we have here is the Spyderco Salt 1, and this is a really nice little knife. And these salt knives have been out from Spyderco for a few years now. I just now got my hands on it, and I've been carrying it for about the past month, and I'm a big fan. This is a really nice little folder, and something I would highly recommend. So, you know, I have been carrying this just as a little everyday carry knife. And it's been great for that. It only weighs like 2 ounces. It's very, very lightweight, easy to carry, very thin in the pocket, so I really like that. It's also a knife that I would really recommend for backpacking or hiking or even diving, just a good outdoors knife. And part of that is obviously it's so lightweight and easy to carry. I love the bright colored handle on here. It makes it easy to find if you drop it. And also the steel that they use on here is just very, very corrosion resistant. You really just don't have to worry about it at all. So it's a great outdoors knife. Also, it could be a little bit collectible. I know some people just really like Spydercos and just, you know, collect lots of different of the Spyderco blades. So, you know, you could collect it. But really, to me, it's a little bit more of a utilitarian blade. So looking at that blade on there, the steel is the first thing it'll stand out to. This is H1 steel, and I'm not going to get too much into the science of what that actually is, but basically what I'll tell you is that it's near impossible to get the steel to actually rust. You can, you know, leave this in salt water for weeks on end. Look up some of the tests on YouTube. There's some really good tests out there where people are really just torturing the steel, and it just doesn't rust. It's really nice, and so that's a huge benefit. And one of the things I was curious about when I was getting my hands on this blade is that I've used other knives in the past that, you know, claim to not to be able to rust or to be very corrosion resistant, and they didn't rust, but they wouldn't hold an edge worth anything. And so I was curious to see how well this would hold an edge, and I'm happy to report that it holds an edge very well. This is a really good steel, and it's still actually pretty sharp, and I would say that the edge holding characteristics are, you know, pretty much on par with things like VG10, 154 CM, any of the, you know, pretty good, decent steels out there. I mean, eventually it'll go dull just like anything else, but it's a good quality steel. It's going to hold the edge, and it's going to be very serviceable. So I really love the steel on here. Now the blade shape on here, there's not that much of a point, as you'll notice. Now the point is relatively reinforced, if I can show you that. It's relatively reinforced, but it doesn't really come to that sharp of a point. And I think the idea there was that they were intending this for more of a water knife, so they didn't want a sharp point in case you kind of stuck yourself. But they didn't really blunt it. They just kind of made a crummy point. So I kind of wish that they had given you just a little bit sharper of a point, just for things like opening packages, you know, poking into stuff. I do like a little bit more of a point than this has. That being said, this worked. It's not bad. It functions just fine. Now it is hollow ground, as you can tell. Generally I prefer the full flat grinding, but this worked just fine. It slices well, takes a very sharp edge. No real complaints with the blade, and it's a good, you know, kind of medium thickness. Saves weight, but it's not overly thin or overly weak that you're gonna have to worry about it. Now your opening mechanism on here is a 14mm spider hole. And if you're familiar with Spyderco, most of their blades are a 13mm hole. So this is just a little bit bigger. And while a millimeter and it may not seem like a big difference, you do feel it in hand. And it does feel just a little bit bigger, and I really like it. Especially if you're using this in the outdoors. Like I said, I use this out in the winter time on a winter backpacking excursion. And when you're wearing gloves and you want to open this, that nice big spider hole is really nice. Also, if you're swimming or in the water and your hands are you know, wet and cold, that nice big hole is really nice to get the blade open. So I really like that. Now, your handles on here, as you can tell, are a very bright yellow, and that's really nice. If you drop the blade on the ground, in the water, wherever, it's going to be easy to spot, easy to see it. So I really like that bright yellow. Now, if you're just going to carry this as kind of like an everyday utility knife, and you don't want that bright of a color, they do also offer it in black, if you just want a good black coloration. Now, your locking mechanism on here is just a standard back lock, very strong, fairly standard. I've been using Delicas and all sorts of Spyderco back locks for a long time. Fairly standard, strong, adequate strength. Again, it's a folding knife. If you need a ton of strength, just go with the fixed blade. But I like the lock, easy to disengage, works fine. Looking at the back of that blade on there, just as far as the overall traction goes on here, if you are in water or in the outdoors, sometimes you need some good traction. The jimping on here, on this thumb ramp, is exceptional. Really sharp, really locks your thumb in, and I really love the jimping on there. Also, this pattern on the handle, while it's a little bit different from the kind of bidirectional texturing that you find on a lot of Delicas. Honestly, I like it fine. I think this on the Delica provides just a tad more traction, but this isn't bad either, and it works out just fine. Now these handles, you'll notice they're very thin. This knife, I believe, is it's about the same thickness as a Delica, but if you look in these handles, actually, there's no steel liners in there whatsoever. These are just pure Zytel handles, and I really like that. They're very strong. I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to break this blade, but they didn't put any steel liners in there. That really saves weight, and even with that full thickness blade on there, this thing is still like 2 ounces, so very easy to carry, very light and thin, and really nice. Constructed kind of like the old Delicas before they put stainless steel in here. Now, it is mini Torx bit construction here on your pivot pin and back here on your lock bar. So if you need to adjust the tension on your blade to take out any play, you can do that. This has no play in it whatsoever. It locks up very solidly. So that is nice. You can adjust it. And all these fixtures on here, all these screws and everything, are all, I believe, made out of H1 steel. So your blade's not going to rust, and all the hardware on here isn't going to rust. This is a very well engineered, very well planned out knife that's really just not going to have any issues with moisture. Now, your pocket clip on here is a design that is tip up, so I really like that. I really like the tip up carry. That's my preferred. Now, it doesn't ride all that deep. You do have a little bit sticking out of your pocket, but it does retain the knife fairly well, and it's fairly easy to get to the blade. This pocket clip is actually made out of titanium, so again, helping prevent corrosion, and it's coated in black. Really nice look. I like it. If you want to swap it to the other side, you can. And this is really an ambidextrous knife with the spider hole, the back lock, and the clip. If you're a lefty, this knife will work out just fine for you. So I wouldn't hesitate at all to recommend this to a left-handed person. So overall, it's just a really nice knife, light, high quality, and you just don't have to worry about it. I love that. It's a piece of gear that you can just go use and throw it in your pocket and just not worry about it. And anytime I can get gear that I don't have to maintain, don't have to worry about, that is a huge plus. Alright, so these things are priced right around $60, and I think that's a fairly fair price. For the H1 steel and the really just good quality and just total lack of care that it needs, I feel like $60 is totally worth it. Now, as far as some just good competitive options, one obviously is its stablemate, the Spyderco Delica. The Delica is probably just a little bit better of an everyday carry knife, a little bit better blade shape. The steel, the VG10, holds the edge really well. I really love VG10 still. And while it's not quite as corrosion resistant as this, it's still no slouch, and I've never had VG10 rust on me. So I definitely recommend you check out the Delica. You can get it in lots of different colors. This is the orange. So Delica is a great option to check out. The Delicas are only around $45, so you definitely get it for just a little bit lower price point. Another knife to maybe check out would be the Bucklight Max, and I have this reviewed, and while this is definitely a more affordable knife, I think this is like 15 or 20 bucks, so definitely a much cheaper blade. It's still a really nice blade for backpacking. It's again, not quite as corrosion resistant, but it being so affordable, you don't necessarily have to worry about it quite as much. If something happened to this, if you lost it, it's not going to be as big of a deal. I threw a reflective lanyard on there, and it's very lightweight, even more lightweight than this. I mean, this is under 2 ounces. So I'd also check out the Bucklight Max if you're trying to put together a good backpacking system on a budget, or just a nice little lightweight everyday carry blade. The Bucklight Max is a good option. So if you have any questions about the H1 salt knives, feel free to leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to help you guys out. Everyone have a nice day. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe.